So this is the third Deva video for Digimon Tamers. This one I'll be talking about the mouse, the pig, and the monkey. I have a Pikachu for the mouse. I have a Swinub for the pig, boar, whichever one you want to go with, and a Beanie Baby Monkey for the monkey. I'm running out of animals here. I'm like, I have a stuffed dragon and a stuffed rabbit. I have stuffed dogs. I'm good for one more video. This one I'll be going over, I'm going to mispronounce this guy's name, and I'm just going to refer to him as the Mouse Deva instead afterwards, because it's very hard to pronounce. Kubahiramon is the Mouse Deva. Vikarlamon is the Boar Deva. And Makuramon is the Monkey Deva. So first up, rat, mouse, whichever you want to go with, we have Kubahiramon. He is the Rat Deva, and pretty much just his personality, just like pretty much most of the other Devas, is pretty much very arrogant and everything. So he's not around for very long. So what happens is he emerges inside of a sewer system, and then he pops up and he ends up encountering Jerry and Calamon and starts trying to attack them. Jerry first asks him if he is her partner, and he goes like, God, no, why would I be a partner to a human? And he starts terrorizing them and chasing them around and everything. And then Leomon emerges, bioemerges, and, and ends up fighting him. So we have like the lion and the mouse kind of story being represented there. Them fighting against each other. Kubahiramon ends up using his attack. So he has, his attack is basically just called Deva Clones, where he can like clone himself. So like, I guess, I don't know, agility in Pokemon or something where there's like so many of them, you can't tell which one's the real one. And he like clones himself, and they're able to all attack at the same time. So, I mean, there's not too much. He gets destroyed. I believe he is destroyed by Leomon pretty easily. And then that just results in like Jerry just being like, to Leomon. So there's not too much there. Kubahiramon is not around for very long. The rest of the episode is just basically like Jerry chasing Leomon around and trying to convince him to be her partner. But the quote that goes along with Kubahiramon, that is like his response to Jerry when she asks, "Are you my partner?" He goes, I am a mighty Deva who serves the all-powerful sovereign Digimon. Why would I join forces with a pathetic human? And of course, they kind of give him the little higher-pitched mouse voice, rat-type voice. So, yeah, there's that. There's not too much else that goes along with him. His design isn't bad. I mean, like, you can tell it's supposed to be a mouse. That's about what I got for him. Next up, we have Vikarlamon, who is the pig/boar Deva. Vikarlamon is the one that pretty much causes the most amount of damage in the human world during the time frame that he is there. I mean, yeah, some of the other ones cause some damage. Vajramon and Pajramon caused a bit of damage with running around, but Vikarlamon, so out of all of the Devas, Vikarlamon is the largest. I believe he's even bigger than the dragon one that they have, and that I'll talk about in the next video for Devas. So he's the last one to emerge in the real world, but we don't find out about the monkey being there until afterwards. So that's why he's last on this video. So he emerges, and because of his massive size and extreme durability and great strength, he is able to just literally like plow through the city. And just like, they're like evacuating people, getting them all out of there. Takado's parents, I believe, are like forced to evacuate as well. And there's like a whole bunch of other, a whole bunch of areas that are just being forced to evacuate because of all the damage that he's causing, and like they're in the path that he is on. So they're like, okay, well, we got to get people out of here. And this is one of the ones that actually involves the military being brought in. And most of the Devas, to a degree, have caused a bit of havoc. I do believe that Mihiramon, the tiger one, I think he kind of had to deal with the military a little bit. But Vicarilamon is the one that very much gets everybody's attention, because there is like 24-hour news cycle of like just live footage of this thing, you know, plowing through the streets of downtown Shinjuku in parts of Tokyo and stuff. And, you know, and behind him is also like this stream of data that is still connected to the digital world. And in the sky, you just see like this, it's like a zipper coming undone to a degree. It's like this giant rift is being opened up in the sky by him, because he's pulling in so much data that it's taking so much data to sustain him in the real world. And you got to imagine that, given the fact that he was sent by Chu Chaomon, that Chu Chaomon is probably causing parts of this to happen as well. And to keep him, like, to keep Vicarilamon from, you know, becoming unstable in the real world. And, I mean, he causes a lot of damage. He's just plowing through the streets. Rapidmon, Taomon, Wargramon, all of them are trying to stop him. And, you know, so it's like all the tamers are trying to do what they can to stop him. Even Leomon shows up at one point and tries to attack, and it doesn't go well. Leomon does end up showing up, but I don't know if he actually ends up causing any damage to Vicarilamon. But, you know, Takato, Rika, and Henry are all just like, okay, well, we gotta stop this thing, or else it's gonna cause so much problems. During this time frame, Yamaki, and I believe at this point in time, he does have the monster makers working with him / for him at this time frame. So that includes Henry's father, who actually leaves the building when all of this is happening, because he sees his son there and he runs down. He like karates his way out of there, and makes his way to where Henry and the others are. But what ends up happening is Yamaki activates Juggernaut during this time frame, because he's trying to use it to, you know, stop Vicarilamon and stop the giant hole being ripped in the sky. But I don't really think that ends up causing any actual help. Not as far as I remember. It doesn't really end up helping anything. The tamers are just, all three of the main tamers, all three of their Digimon, Rapidmon, Taomon, and Wargramon, are all kind of like beaten down during this time frame. They all take a lot of damage, and they end up getting like powered up by the tamers, and they are eventually able to destroy Vicarilamon. They are, but it takes a lot for them to get to the point where they can do that. And during the same time frame, as I said, we have the military coming into play. We have military helicopters coming in, trying to shoot Vicarilamon to try to see if they can do anything to try to deter it or stop it or something. And within all of this very serious issue going on, we have an army guy. I just list him as army guy because we don't get a name for him. I just haven't. He says, "Sir, we haven't been practicing our giant pig maneuvers." Wait. Do we have giant pig maneuvers? Which, you know, Digimon is one of those series where it's like, you can have very serious things going on, and you can still have one of the characters have like this funny line that is like, yeah, within the situation, some humor could be called for, but it's still a valid question. One Piece does the same thing. So does Black Clover. So does My Hero. A lot of them do. It depends on the tone that the author is trying to go for in that moment. But so, as I stated, the military are coming in. They're trying to do what they can. And the three main Digimon, specifically Takato, they're all able to send strength, and he is specifically able to send strength to Wargramon, who is then able to, he's either I don't remember if he's being crushed by Vicarilamon, or if he's being, like, crushed by debris that Vicarilamon, like, knocked on top of him, and he couldn't get out of. But he's able to escape that, and Wargramon is able to use his Atomic Blaster to destroy Vicarilamon. So, Vicarilamon's main attacks, or the main things that he has, are obviously the ripping open the giant frickin' sky zipper to reveal the digital world. But he also has Fusion Ball, which just he throws an opponent. He can throw the boar throws the opponent with a red ball, so he just like attacks him with like this red ball that causes damage to them. And then he can also boar bog. He can regurgitate this like black sticky goo out of his mouth that like can pin down the other Digimon, which may have been one of the things that captured either Rapidmon or Talmon or a Wargreymon, one of the three, or more than one. But they're able to destroy him, and we kind of find out that Vicarilamon is actually kind of being used as a distraction, because during that time frame is when Makuramon, who is the Monkey Devo, who I'm going to get to in a moment, actually uses that in a way to make his part of the plan work. So I'll get to Makuramon in a moment, but Vicarilamon ends up, like, footage of this Digimon roaming through, just like plowing through the streets of Tokyo, ends up getting, spread all over the world. And some people probably think it's faked and everything, but other people are like, oh no, it was real. Like, the damage is still there. And that's kind of one of those things that results in this means that, like, all people all over the world are going to find out that Digimon are real now. Like, the Tamers universe are going to find out that Digimon are real. Because, like, yeah, there were different wild ones that would emerge occasionally, or that would emerge within certain areas, but they were generally taken care of pretty quickly, either by Hypnos or Yamaki himself, or by something else that was able to take care of them, or other Digimon, or the Tamers. This one pops up on, like, the nightly news, and that causes a lot more problems. So, yeah. Finally, for this video, we have Makuramon, who is the Monkey Deva. So, Makuramon actually ends up being able to take the form of a human child, and he just takes on the name Makura. And he kind of shows up at one point in time and starts just, like, being around, like, Takato and Rika and Henry and, like, their friends group. So, like, we see him with Kazu and Kenta and Jerry. Like, we kind of see him around them at various points in time. And, like, he's, like, playing with the group. And, like, okay, they're like, do you know the kid? No, I don't think so. So he bio-emerges around the same time that Indramon does. And, he first just, like, takes on this guise of a human because he's like, okay, well, I'm going to use this to, like, gather intel and, like, spy on trying to figure out where Calamon is. Because, like, they've kind of figured out, okay, so Calamon kind of is around a bunch of these different human tamers at the same, is around them a lot. That's why their Digimon can keep digivolving. So, if I'm around them, I don't know, I can lure them into a false sense of security or something. I don't know. And he also kind of watches the battle with Leomon and Kubahiramon. And that's when he realizes that Calamon is, the catalyst. And realizes, okay, I need to get this thing. I need to capture Calamon. And, like, we see him interact with the other kids a little bit, with, Takato's group a little bit. Mostly just, like, they try to talk to him and then he just, like, screams in their face and, like, runs off. Or he's, like, very quiet and then he'll scream and run off. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that's normal human child behavior. I take offense at that. I was born in the year of the monkey. So was my sister. 12 years apart. It's like, I take offense at that. I'm not that awkward. I know the proper situation when you should scream at someone randomly. I'm sure there are proper situations for that, and I'm pretty sure I'd be able to figure it out, but, that's the point. So the next bit, as I said, is when Vicarilamon attacks, and he basically is designed to be a distraction and to open this giant rift so that way Makuramon can get back after he captures Calamon. So during all of this time frame, Makuramon was, like, chasing Jerry and Kazu and Kenta, and Calamon chasing them around while Takato and the others are trying to deal with Vicarilamon. And once Vikirlamon is defeated, within that distraction time window, he shows up, grabs Calamon. Leomon shows up at the same time, tries to stop him, and ends up getting attacked. That results in where Jerry and Leomon are actually able to fully have their bond as Digimon and Tamer. But Makuramon grabs Calamon, who's actually quite weakened because, Calamon's just had to help make, 3 Digimon digivolve all the way up to their ultimate forms, or up to their mega forms. And what ends up happening is Makuramon gets Calamon and starts heading back into the digital world and through the giant's aforementioned Sky Zipper rift. And we see the silhouette of Chuchalmon appear behind him and to ensure his escape. So Calamon's been taken back to the digital world, and the Tamers are like, okay, we have to go save Calamon. So that's results in why they end up going to save Calamon in the digital world, why they have to make their way to the digital world. While this is going on in the digital world, Makuramon gets Calamon, and he traps Calamon in a little picture the cartoon bird cages from Sylvester and Tweety cartoons, that type of a thing is what what Calamon is being held in. And Makuramon is flying around trying to go through the layers of the digital world to get to the rest, to get to the digital world itself so we can take Calamon to the Sovereign, to Chuchalmon. What ends up happening is at one point in time, the cage kind of gets stuck between the two areas, in one of the layers, and he can't get it out, so he's fine, and he expects Calamon to just I guess stay trapped there, and he goes off. Calamon ends up escaping thanks to the help of the Diginomes and roams around on his own for a little while. But Makuramon comes back with Majiramon, who's the Dragon Deva. He'll be in the next video. Shows up with him to try to help him, but he's like, okay, Calamon got away. Okay, now we gotta go find him again. But he's at least in the digital world, so hopefully we don't have to deal with Tamers. Wrong. Makuramon shows up. They figure out where Calamon is because they see the light of Digivolution, so they're like, okay, that's where we need to go. And during this time frame, they end up having to fight against Rio and Cyberdramon. Here, Majiramon gets destroyed. I'll talk about that more tomorrow, or in the next video. And Makuramon is able to get his hands on Calamon and makes a hasty retreat, escaping away. And he drops Calamon into this very deep, cavern thing that I guess was either built to contain Calamon or the catalyst or something, but that's where he's dropped. And that's where Makuramon puts him. From there, we kind of he shows back up again when Suzy and Antilamon are actually kind of hanging out. And he starts to try to attack Antilamon because, in his mind, she is a traitor at this point in time. In regards to the fact that, oh, you're playing with a human and you're siding with a human, therefore you're a traitor. And he tries to attack and destroy Antilamon, and that's when Antilamon and him fight for a little bit, and that's when Henry and Takato show up, and they kind of see that Antilamon is defending Suzy at that point in time. Eventually, kind of the way that Makuramon ends up getting destroyed is that during Beelzemon's fight with Talmon and Rapidmon, Makuramon shows up and I guess tries to taunt Beelzemon or something, and Beelzemon just reaches out his arm and just kind of crushes him and just destroys him very quickly, in all honesty, because Beelzemon has been just chowing down on digital data for a while at that point in time. Digimon's data, just absorbing it. And he absorbs his power, and then he's able to use that to try to attack Talmon and Rapidmon. So that's kind of what happens to Makuramon. That's how he gets destroyed. So not really all that interesting. But he does have 3 pretty good quotes. So the first one is, "As simple and pathetic as you are, you humans created us and the world we live in. You populated your world, then started messing with ours. We had to evolve and and adjust just to survive. So again, as I stated with previous devas, in the devas' minds, they are doing what is needed for them to be able to survive, for their world to survive, for the Digimon themselves to survive. They are sent to the real world by the Sovereign. And for the most part, most of the Digimon don't really have a huge amount of interaction with the real world to begin with. Pretty much any of the ones that do end up biomerging into the real world and becoming wild ones end up getting destroyed. I mean, yes, Ipmon ended up finding his tamers, and Leomon found Jerry. And, Calamon wasn't really 100% a Digimon to begin with, but, he still developed bonds with all the tamers. And, Takato created Gilmon, and, Henry, pulled Terriermon into the real world, and same thing with Rika and Renamon. But the majority of the other Digimon that ended up going into the real world got destroyed by either the tamers themselves or by Yamaki and, Hypnos. And that kind of just results in well, why would the devas have any form of sympathy for the humans? They wouldn't. It's well, yes, they kind of created us, but now we've surpassed our creator, because it's just you saw what just one of our Digimon could do in regards to what Vicarolamon did with just plowing through the streets. And the army could do nothing against him. And the only reason that he was able to be stopped was because of the tamers. And if the tamers hadn't been there, then Vicarolamon probably would have just kept going and eventually ended up causing a whole lot more damage. And the same thing is implied with a lot of the other devas as well. If the tamers hadn't shown up and dealt with them, or if the other wild ones, if the tamers hadn't showed up and dealt with them, there would have been a lot more damage and chaos and collateral damage caused in the process. But Makuramon has a point. It's it is kind of like humans come in and they mess with nature, and nature is forced to evolve or die. Evolve, adjust, or die, just so they can survive. And we're seeing the effects of that now, so there is kind of that slight commentary there. The next quote that he has is, "The only way to protect our world is to destroy anyone who threatens it. But we need to become even stronger, and you ignorant children have something that can help us. You hold the key, and you don't even know it. All this time, we don't really care if you humans want to wipe yourselves out. Or at this point, we don't really care if you humans want to wipe yourselves out. We've got a plan. My foul friends, and you're in the way. That's a problem." So again, this is him when I believe he is talking and taunting the tamers, but also specifically Jerry and Kazu and Kenta, taunting them after he's grabbed Calamon and everything. So again, it's, he has a point. I mean, the Digimon could care less if the humans, ended up destroying themselves. If we have humans destroyed ourselves, yeah, eventually, the digital technology on our end would die. But the thing is that the Digimon are kind of on a different plane of existence at that point in time. Yes, they are affected by each other, but the Digimon would probably still go on for quite a while, even if humans were destroyed. It's as long as the technology keeps going, and it's not some of those stuff is designed to survive a long freaking time. So, yeah. And then kind of the last quote that we get from Makuramon is, it's more of a funny one, and it's him talking to the Dragon Deva, to Majiramon. So it's, "Majiramon, I do believe that lizard in a tin can is trying to pick a fight with you. I'll just get out of your way while you reformat him." So this is just before Majiramon goes and tries to fight against Cyberdramon, and then gets destroyed pretty quickly. So yeah, Makuramon is very much I don't know. I was trying to think of is he middle management within the Devas, because he's the one that went undercover, and he's the one that was able to figure out where Calamon was and what that Calamon was the catalyst. The rest of them just kind of showed up and just started causing problems. And yes, they were under orders from Chu Chaomon to try to destroy the human world or conquer it one way or the other. And I mean, let's be honest here. If the digital world was real, and if Digimon decided that they did want to take over our world, I'm quite certain they would probably be able to do a good amount of damage pretty quickly. Given the fact that we don't really have a whole lot of stuff that would be very good at fighting them, unless us humans got our own Digimon. So yeah, there's that. So pretty much the two things that we have for, or the one thing basically that we have for Akuramon is he has his primal orb attack, which pretty much is just he can make this projectile of this orb that he can like throw out, and it'll either like blow up in the enemy or it'll like trap the opponent and entraps them. So again, there's not too much there. I mean, again, I would say out of these three, the one that I actually like the design the most is surprisingly actually Akuramon. I mean, it's fairly simple. He looks like a monkey in a hat and like, you know, cute little armor and pants. The pig is not cute by any means, and the rat one with the long legs is just kind of weird looking. So yeah, there's not really too much else there in regards to that. In the next video, I will be going over the dog, the dragon, and the rabbit. So, and then I'll be done with the Devas. And then we're slowly getting close to finishing up Digimon Tamers stuff. And then it'll probably be like the D-Reaper get thrown in there. And then I still have to talk about Grani. I'm trying to remember if there are any other ones I still need to talk about. Grani is the main one. Grani and the D-Reaper are the two main ones. So probably won't be going too much longer when it comes to like the Digimon Tamers videos. Probably maybe, well, I don't really even want to put a date on that in that regard. But that's what we have here for this section of the Digimon Devas. So I thank you for watching, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye!